Here is a brief lesson in logic for those of you who might not have studied logic. A good troll needs to be predicated on the truth. Donald Trump is a master troller.
Draw your own conclusions.
Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler in my home office, and Trump is a master troller. Whether you love him or hate him, he is a master troller. And the thing about trolling is that it doesn't work if it's not based on the truth. So Trump is a master troller because he bases his trolls on the truth. And today's troll is Joe Biden's Autopen signature.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway.
On Truth Social, Donald J. Trump, at Real Donald Trump, the, quote, pardons, end quote, that Sleepy Joe gave to the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by Autopen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. Now, the elements of truth in this Truth Social post irony are quite evident for anybody who's been paying attention. Some people are going to disagree with the conclusion that no, the pardons are not null and of no force or effect, that one president cannot invalidate the pardons of a previous president. But the most important things of that Truth Social post are the factual underpinnings of it, which are entirely true. Now, by the way, not for nothing, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social yesterday as at the time of shooting this vlog. Today, as at the time of shooting this vlog, was Dan Bongino's first day in the office as the deputy director of the FBI, the second most powerful person at the FBI, second only to Kash Patel. So the timing of this Truth Social post, it might be deemed to be read as a to-do list for Dan Bongino as deputy director of the FBI.
Do it. Do it.
But Trump puts out this post and the media goes wild. Social media erupts. How dare he do this? My goodness, if an auto signature is a cause for invalidating pardons, then Donald Trump's pardon of the January 6ers are equally as invalid. Well, that's only true if you have half a brain, or you're only using half of your brain, or you're not fully understanding the circumstances here. The argument is not only that the pardons are invalid because they were done by Autopen. The argument is that they were done by Autopen and Joe Biden had no idea what he was doing. He had no idea this was going on. Some people probably drafted those documents for him, had it signed with his Autopen, and he had no idea because he's a totally demented buffoon, as everybody now knows.
Another line going from in Florida down to Tampa of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here?
But the mainstream media propagandists, being mainstream media propagandists, quickly come in to defend old demented Joe Biden. And they say, my goodness, Donald Trump, without evidence, is suggesting that Joe Biden used an Autopen and had no idea what he was doing. And if you have any doubts about the without evidence catchphrase, here's an article from, I don't know, one of these crappy hellhole institutions of propagandists. Oh yeah, that's right. The Independent. What is an Autopen signature and why is Trump accusing Biden of using one? President has attacked Biden's alleged Autopen use despite reports casting doubt over whether all of Trump's signatures are handwritten. Can you believe the wordsmithing of the devil in this headline? They say he's got no reason to think that Autopens are being used by President Joe Biden, despite the fact that it might be the case that he's using Autopen, and the article goes on to document the history of the Autopen. While attending the G8 summit in France in May 2011, a major piece of legislation reached Barack Obama's desk in the Oval Office. Invoking national security concerns, the former president authorized an aide in Washington to use an Autopen to affix his signature to a bill extending 3 provisions of the Patriot Act. It marked the first reported time a U.S. president had a mechanical device to sign a bill into law. The White House pointed to an existing 29-page opinion commissioned by the Department of Justice claiming its use was legal. Almost 14 years later, the Autopen is back making headlines after President Donald Trump accused his Democratic predecessor, Joe Biden, of using the mechanical device to sign pardoning documents rather than doing so by hand. Trump claimed, without providing evidence, that Biden had no knowledge or approval of the documents. With Without providing evidence simply means that the journalist propagandist who wrote that article didn't bother to go look for any of the potential evidence because the evidence is ample. I'll get to it in a second. The article then goes on to document the history of the Autopen, and it goes back a long time, you know, after having said in the headline that there's no evidence Joe Biden used an Autopen. I'm paraphrasing and oversimplifying, but you know exactly what I'm getting at because the headline casts doubt on what the article confirms in the body. What is an Autopen? An Autopen is a device designed to replicate a handwritten signature without the direct involvement of a human. The individual signature is digitally recorded and stored, and a robotic arm holding a pen or pencil creates a near-exact replica of the signature on paper. Only a well-trained eye could spot the difference between a handwritten signature and a well-done auto-signature. Presidents have signed documents using signature copying devices since Thomas Jefferson used the machine known as a polygraph in 1804, according to the National Museum of American History. He is believed to have called it, quote, the finest invention of the present age, end quote. What's it called again? The parallax fallacy or something along those lines. It's not happening, but it's a good thing it's happening, and it's been around for 200 years, and it's the greatest invention ever. And if you had any doubt that Joe Biden was using an Autopen for his multiple preemptive pardons of friends and family and very, very bad people, Colin Rugg put out a video that shows the overlay of the signature, and my goodness, it is done by Autopen, people.
Of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
But as I said at the beginning of this vlog, it's not that it was done by Autopen that is itself the controversy. The controversy is that Joe Biden was demented and everybody knew it, and it's a question as to whether or not he even knew what the heck he was signing in the final 2 years of his presidency. And that pesky little part of Donald Trump suggesting that Joe Biden had no idea what he was actually signing, that he said this without supporting evidence. Well, my goodness, you can't see the evidence if you don't open your freaking eyes. Here's some of the evidence.
But there's a, now widely reported story of something that happened, I think it was in early February of last year when I was in the Oval Office and I asked him why he paused LNG exports. Like, Mr. President, why would you pause liquefied natural gas exports to our European allies? Because they're going to have to go to Vladimir Putin to get their needs met. And he tried to argue with me and tell me that he didn't do that. And it occurred to me in this dialogue that he genuinely did not know what he had signed. That they had put this executive order in front of him, and he didn't understand what it was. And that was a very alarming moment of realization for me. And I think the whole country knows now. But it was a dangerous time, a very perilous time for us, particularly in that last year of his administration. But thank God that President Trump is back in the White House, and we can restore that.
Yes, that is Speaker Johnson confirming that after one of his meetings with Joe Biden, it became clear to Speaker Johnson that Joe Biden had no idea what he was signing. He had no idea what the heck was going on, which leads me to ask the question, Speaker Johnson, why the heck didn't you say anything at the time?
Once again, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
But set that question aside for the purposes of this vlog, because this vlog is not to attack Speaker Johnson for his inaction given the knowledge that he had. It's just to highlight the fact that the evidence is out there and everybody knows it. And now the question is, who knew what or who didn't know what, and what does Donald Trump know to make this statement in the first place? Some people are suggesting you can't invalidate a president's presidential pardons, which would make sense if the president issued those pardons or knew that they were being issued in the first place. And whether or not Donald Trump is right or wrong in his conclusions drawn from this factual pattern, at the very least, he is putting this factual pattern on blast. Joe Biden had no idea what the heck was going on, and all of these criminals and scoundrels who worked on that January 6th committee, who destroyed evidence before they left office, who got their presidential pardons, preemptive pardons, despite having destroyed evidence, well, my goodness, they should be on notice. Dan Bongino's in the House, and he might question the validity of these preemptive pardons.
Let me get to the first component of what I want to talk to you about today that's critical right here regarding the fake crime, fake sentencing in front of the fake judge, in front of the fake court system, in front of a fake prosecutor, and everything else up in New York with Judge Merchan. Donald Trump was just sentenced. The left is now celebrating and can call him a convicted felon. We, of course, will use that to raise money and influence to hopefully win back the midterms, just like we did the outlaw label last time. Because we're good at that. Because we're good at that. We're good at flipping the script on dipshit, fuckwad, liberal commies because we beat their asses. We've won the last 3 elections. I thought just 2. We won 3.
And if it holds up to the scrutiny of the courts, if it ever gets there, then good for you, you filthy criminals. You've gotten the benefit of your preemptive pardons. And if it doesn't, well, then my goodness, you might have some very big problems. And one way or the other, the general public is going to know about your disgusting corruption. And before we get to yet another one of Donald Trump's masterful trolls on social media, did you subscribe and do you have notifications turned on? It takes 5 seconds to support the channel and it's free. Go down there, right there. Do it. Right down there. Do it, please.
Do it. Do it.
But another one of Donald Trump's masterful trolls, it's President Donald Trump, number 45, then Autopen 46, then Donald Trump 47. Here's the image. Donald J. Trump at Real Donald Trump, 2017 to 2021, Donald Trump. 2021 to 2025, Autopen, 2025 to present, Donald John Trump. That is the vlog, and I was a little cynical or skeptical of the argument in the first place, but I think I've talked myself into Adam Schiff for Brains McSchiff. You should be very nervous right now because it's arguable as to whether or not you got a bona fide, legitimate presidential pardon, and even if you did, my goodness, it only covers a very limited array of your potentially criminal conduct. So my goodness, I hope the new director of the FBI and the deputy director of the FBI look into your long history of lies, deceit, and criminality. With that said, if you like what I do, you know what to do. Most importantly, exercise, eat healthy, sunlight, talk to people in real life, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps. Booyah!
Here's what drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers. The